on the Lowdown, a Down syndrome podcast. Andrea Lee gives us the lowdown on sex and relationships for people with Down syndrome. Over to you, Hannah and Marla.
Thank you, Danielle. So hello, everyone, and welcome to the LowDOWN podcast. My name is Hina Mahmood. I'm an occupational therapist at the Down Syndrome Resource Foundation. And joining me today is my wonderful co-host, Marla Folden, who is a speech-language pathologist at the DSRF. Hi, Marla.
Hi, Hannah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Oh, just toasty.
Yeah,
just toasty.
I know we're recording this episode on what possibly could be the hottest day
in
BC,
history.
maybe Canada has ever seen. It's going to get up into the mid 40s for some regions. So we're very grateful to be in an air-conditioned office recording this today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so before we continue on with our episode, we would love for you to hit that subscribe button and leave a review of our podcast on your chosen podcast platform. Remember to check out our episode pages for additional resources related to each episode. You can also follow the DSRF at www.dsrf.org. And we're also on Instagram and Twitter, and you can follow us at DSRF Canada. So today we are very happy to welcome back Andrea Lee, who is one of our amazing teachers at the Down Syndrome Resource Foundation. We interviewed Andrea in season 2 of the Lowdown about the importance of comprehensive sex health education for individuals with Down syndrome. Now, a year later, we will be chatting with Andrea again about the DSRF's comprehensive sex ed program that she started. And we will take some questions sent in from teens and adults about all things sex, relationships, and everything in between.
So if you didn't tune into our episode in our previous season, I'll tell you a little bit about Andrea. So Andrea received her master's in education in Montessori methodology and children with exceptionalities at Loyola University in Maryland. Previously to that, she graduated from University of British Columbia, or what we call UBC, with a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology and Classical Literature. Andrea is a BC certified teacher who currently runs a program for young adults at the DSRF, as well as one-to-one literacy and math, and of course, this sexual health program that we're going to be talking about today. Initially inspired by the young adults in her group programmings and seeing a need for the whole Down syndrome community, Andrea has completed the Options Sexual Health Certification Program. And she did her practicum here at the DSRF, teaching comprehensive sexual health programs to small groups, families, and one-on-one. Andrea, we're so glad to have you back.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I love it.
Yeah, we're very, very pleased to have you here today. And, you know, it's been a little while since we had you on the podcast and things have progressed and changed. And we're very excited to talk about that with you. We're going to do a few more secret questions in case people didn't get to know you last time. So, and these are very now questions, you'll see. So first question, what are you going to do post-COVID? Looking forward to anything the most?
Oh my goodness, everything. I'm going to hug people, maybe?
Yay. Absolutely. Maybe not.
I don't know. It's a no touch for me for the rest of my life.
Maybe just a bit more careful about who you hug this time.
Yeah, selective hugging.
Selective hugging, yeah.
I feel like I was really restrictive on myself during all of COVID. So a lot of things people be like, well, you were allowed to do that. But I still haven't. I'm going to see a movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I really want to travel. We had our Disneyland trip canceled.
Yep.
So maybe next year, whenever the quarantine... Well, no, the quarantine is...
The border issues are done.
And
And
like that.
kids still have to quarantine
when it's
in
like
Canada.
open for sure. Yeah.
Because I think I'm not comfortable with my daughter on a plane until she can get vaccinated.
Fair
but I
enough.
really want her on a plane so we can go to Japan and Disneyland, and travel would be
Just
the biggest
explore.
one.
Yeah.
And the
I
movie
understand.
theater.
And the movies.
Both ends of the
For
spectrum.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
The big and the little. And
Yes.
I really missed like popping in on people.
Just little
Like,
visits.
hey,
I know.
we're in the neighborhood. Are you home?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Oh, too late. We're over. You know, things like that. Like,
Yeah.
you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for
I
that
miss
too.
things like potlucks
Yeah.
and where you can share food with people.
Oh my gosh,
I like
everything
cooking for
foods.
people.
I mean, I
Yeah.
really like picnics, but it's like Christmas time. We can actually gather.
I know. And yeah, just like even sharing a pizza would be delightful. We're
Yeah.
excited about it. So leading into that, you said you'd want to go to the movies. Do you have a movie that you like to recommend to people? Like a favorite that you say, this is a must see?
Actually, no. I take I find recommendations really stressful.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
And I have to really, really personalize them. So when people are like, oh, what's a good this movie to watch? I'm like, I don't know. Like, what's your level of intensity you're looking for? What genres? What actors? What directors
It's a
do
whole
you
set
like?
of criteria.
I really overthink it.
I don't know though,
Yeah.
because the recommendations that you make to me are spot
Exactly.
on.
I know
you
You're
really well.
like a very, very good recommender.
Now you know how much thought I'm putting into this. Well, Marla's this age.
Yeah.
But
Is there one that you want to see in the theaters?
in the Heights,
Yeah.
because I jumped on that Hamilton bandwagon real hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, Hamilton. But then who has Disney Plus? Everyone who has Disney Plus already watched Hamilton.
Fair enough.
Is that even a movie? Kind of. I recommend that to everybody.
Okay.
I always recommend Thor Ragnarok to people.
Big Marvel person.
Uh-huh.
Andrea
don't
recommended
like it?
Marvel to me, and based on her recommendations, I actually sat through beginning to end all Marvel movies and
yeah, I
was
remember you
happy
did that.
for it because it was so
Yeah.
good. I don't want to redo that now.
See?
Yeah. So great recommender.
And start
I
with
agree
Thor
with that.
Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Because Taika Waititi.
Okay, question number 3. What is one skill you wish you had been taught in school?
Whoa.
Uh-huh.
Like that I wish was available to me, or that...
Yeah, or you could, yeah.
Oh, there's so many. Like, I wish I actually learned another language.
Mm.
I wasn't in French immersion, and just general French. I could read really well, but I couldn't speak or understand anybody.
Mhm.
I learned when I, went to Montreal and Paris and things like that. It's like
Mhm.
I could read my way through a museum but not talk to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that would be the big one.
Okay.
And there were things that were available, but I just didn't do them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have been cool, like a musical instrument.
Oh,
Would
yeah.
have loved to have learned that.
Which one would you want to learn?
Guitar.
Oh, okay.
Like I took guitar class, but I only took 1 year, and it
Okay.
wasn't enough to
Yeah.
be able to play guitar right now. If I tried, I'd be like, here's a D chord. The end.
It's more than I know. So
And also, like, my sexual health education, I wish was better.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what skills I would have wanted from that.
Maybe just more
even-
information.
More information, and I feel like it would have helped a lot with confidence, knowing what I can teach people now and how I felt growing up, and how
Mhm.
so many things with my body and relationships were just such mysteries to me. So I was just like, I guess I just won't date because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how would that have changed if I had that? You know, like, you can't expect your families to tell you everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Very
So-
clinical information at that
Yeah.
age, but not very empowering or just, yeah.
Exactly. Like, the
Yeah.
comprehensive aspect was
Yeah.
missing from back then. It's like, I
Mhm.
knew really well how to not get pregnant.
Yeah.
Actually,
Right.
not even that well now. The more that I know.
Maybe more like the interpersonal side of it, right?
Exactly,
The relationships piece of it.
exactly.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Okay.
don't know exactly what skill, but
Like general
just
areas.
Yeah.
life.
You gave us a
Would've-
couple of good ones.
Would have been like that.
Okay, next question. What is one item on your like ultimate bucket list that you want to do still?
So
Because you've done a lot of cool stuff.
I've done many cool things.
Mhm.
I have 2 kind of bucket lists. One's like a travel list,
Mhm.
and one's like a animals I want to see in the wild list.
Oh, okay. Let's do the
Okay.
animals in
so-
the wild list.
Well, I
Yeah,
can
what's on
combine
there?
them into a safari
Oh,
because that's on. Oh, but also scuba diving. Oh no, I can't pick
You've
one.
got big
Okay,
plans. I like it.
so they have to all intersect because you know how I'm all about intersectionality.
Uh-huh. I do. I certainly do.
So like all like giraffes and elephants and
Mhm.
lions and things like that are on my animals to see list. And visiting anywhere in Africa, because I've never been to Africa,
Mhm.
is on my travel list.
Mhm.
So let's put safari really
Love
high
it.
up. But also I really want to get scuba certified and
See some whale sharks and those
Oh my
other awesome
goodness.
things.
No, not a whale shark. That is really scary.
Oh, they're the gentle ones. They're like the little krill friends.
Oh, just too big.
Yeah, they're huge.
But like a seahorse is on my
Okay.
list. Like,
Maybe you can work your way up to the
Like a
whale shark.
wild seahorse? That'd be so cool. Like,
Or a
seahorse,
starfish.
like-
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen starfish. Come on, Hannah.
I
You can
can't
see that
swim.
here.
People who listen to us loyally know I cannot swim. So
You can go to the
I have no
beach and
idea.
see that.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
A seahorse
Okay,
would
our
be
last
very cool.
question. Fill in the blank.
Ooh.
My favorite sound is.
Oh, like laughter.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I guess specifically like my daughter's laughter.
Yeah.
When she's with her friends or her cousins, like children's laughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just like always fills me with joy and then
Mhm.
sometimes suspicion, but mostly joy.
You're like,
I just love
that's
it
a
so
good
much.
chuckle coming from the
You're
other
like,
room.
"Oh,
I need to
But
investigate.
why is it followed by silence? Like, something's happening. But as long as
All
they're
the
having
parents
fun.
listening are like, yeah, mhm. Yeah, nodding their heads, I'm sure.
Oh, I really like silence too, though.
Yeah.
You don't get that a lot.
No.
Mm.
I agree. See, that's one of my things. There's no place in the world where you can get full silence unless you're like in a sensory deprivation tank.
Exactly, which
Always
I kind of want to
something.
try. Ooh, should I put that higher
As
on
your
my
bucket list? No,
Can't
not
see any
higher than a
animals there.
safari. No way.
Not higher, but maybe top 10.
Yeah. Top 10, okay.
Top 10 will be pure silence.
Great. Excellent. Okay, well, thanks for doing that with us. That was really fun. Okay, so Andrea, when we last spoke, you had just started the DSRF Comprehensive Sex Ed program. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about how it's going so far?
It's just the best. I love it so much. I love everybody that sees me. I've done family consultations, one-on-one work from ages 8 to like mid-20s maybe is my
Mhm.
oldest now.
Mm-hmm.
I've started 2 new group programs. I think last time, did I talk about Raise Me Up?
I think it was just a hatchling idea at that
Right?
point.
It didn't even exist.
Mm-mm.
Oh, so much has
Can you
happened.
tell us a bit about Raise Me Up? Because that
Yeah.
program's fantastic.
So Raise Me Up is with me and Dr. Susan Fawcett, who does a lot of like self-esteem, mental health, mental wellness sort of things. And we were just talking about how that goes so well with relationships, not just dating, but friendships, and how you see yourself in relation to other people and how much joy having other people to talk to brings.
Mm-hmm.
So we started it last year. We did it with adults. And this year we're expanding it where we have a teen group and an adult group where we're talking about like celebrating Down syndrome and yourselves and how do you make and maintain friendships? Like, what do you do about a crush? All of those sort of things.
Mhm.
And it's really fun. It ends with a talent show and I love it so much.
There's a big piece of it that's about sort of acknowledging, accepting, and then celebrating your identity as a person with Down syndrome. Is that right?
Exactly.
And that seems to be a tricky area for a lot of our students. Either they don't,
Yeah.
some of them don't know that they have Down syndrome.
Or they very recently found out and they're not really sure what that means.
Right, exactly.
And a lot of that goes into like, you know, your self-esteem for like beauty standards and like, who am I going to date? No one thinks I'm cute. And it's like, what? You're beautiful. But of course you're not if you're comparing yourself to like Instagram influencers and TikTokers and whoever else you're seeing everywhere in the media.
Yeah.
I think we all have that issue too. But yeah, and it's really hard for friendships and relationships and things like that. So last year when we did it, we a beautiful couple formed.
There you go.
There you go.
Let's see what happens
Yeah,
this year.
because it's a group program, right? So it's kind of
group
cool
program.
that everyone else is there to support each other and learn from each other, but kind of
Exactly.
that group dynamic
And I think that
must
helps
help.
with the self-esteem too. We were talking about, you know, off the mic, normalizing everything, and people don't know that other people are having these struggles, and then you find out everybody thinks having friends is hard, everybody thinks dating is hard,
Yeah.
including, you know, me. Like,
Yeah.
like this, it's not easy, but when you find out other people are struggling too, you can help, and then it's more fun.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Do you think there's going to be any difference this year now that you're running the 2 programs? Is there going to be a different sort of setup between the adults and the teens?
There is. The teens will be more based on friendships and crushes rather than what to do in a healthy relationship.
Okay.
I think that'll be the main difference.
Okay.
We'll see. We're still
That's
planning.
very exciting.
It is
And I
exciting.
think those programs have filled up very, very quickly as people have found out that they're available and recognize
the requests are coming fast and furious for sure.
How it fits the needs that our students have.
And it's cool. We have a lot of repeaters from last year too. Like, well, I guess they'll just see you every year for the rest of your life.
And the cool thing is you mentioned this just a little bit ago that, some of for your one-to-one sessions, some of your kids are as young as age 8 or 9. So can you talk to her? You talked a little bit about this in the first episode.
I didn't get to talk about a third program that we're starting in the fall.
Okay, talk about the third program, then we'll go back to my question. Go for it.
So another group program that we're going to do starting in the fall for like the whole academic year is called GROW, Gaining Relationships and Occupational Wins. And it's going to be focused on relationships, friendships, datings, and like work.
Okay.
And like getting a job and things like that, because we thought I'm going to do that one with Asia Masters, who did her diploma in, it's a long name, but basically helping people with jobs. Sorry, Asia. I forgot what it was called. But we just thought that those are two things that everybody in adulthood wants to have a meaningful adulthood. They don't want to be at home alone. And it's one of those things where a lot of the times when you kind of age out of academic programs, what are you going to do?
Yeah, what's next?
You're going to work. You're going to,
ideally,
if you want to have a romantic relationship, you should definitely, hopefully, be maintaining your friendships. And that's really, really, really hard. And it's also not only hard for our students, but our families too, to do that unfacilitated. Like, what do I do? And
so it's really an adult program so when students graduate from high school, they can come here and do some academic skill strengthening if they want to. And then is this for after that point when sort of the academic programs are over and we're looking to enter the workforce? Or instead
of the academics, depending on what you want. Same time after. We're getting people signing up now, and it's nice to get students that we saw a while ago coming back and are interested in this one. And one person is, I don't want to say. I don't know who will be in the program in the fall. It's one of those, like, we have to make sure that the group fits. And
Well, yeah. And that was my thing too. Like, anybody could register.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So for recap, so we have Raise Me Up.
Yep.
A teen version and an adult version, which is really great. Then we have GROW, which is for adults starting in the fall. And then we have your third, like your individual one-to-one sessions.
Which families can join in on. And I've had a lot of teachers and EAs joining in on it too and raving about it.
Awesome.
And now,
so going back to then my question, so for some of your younger clients, ages 8 or 9, or I think there might be 1 or 2 that are even younger than that, maybe just by a year or so. Yeah, coming.
But so far 8 has been 8-ish.
Has been the youngest. So what are some of the things that you work on with those clients? Like, what are some of the concepts that you guys talk about, that you cover?
So the big one would be like, the first thing would be like, who are my trusted adults? Who am I going to ask for help in anything related to all of this? Then we talk about public and private. It's a big, 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 big thing. So it'll be body parts, making sure you have the proper names for your body parts.
Which we talked about last time. If you're wondering why that's essential, you should tune in to that last episode from season 2. We get into that.
We talk about public and private places, the bathroom versus your living room. What's the difference? And then behaviors that go with that. What can you do with other people around, and what can you not do with other people around, or only your trusted adults around? We talk a lot about like the people in your lives, circles of intimacy, and then the boundaries around those people. Like, what can you do with a friend versus a family member versus a paid helper versus like a stranger or a community helper. And then we talk a lot about consent and setting your own boundaries and the feelings that go with that. A lot of times people think of consent and they think of sexual consent, but people are touching children all of the time. The dentist touches your mouth. Your friends might pat you on the back or ask for a hug. And how do you feel about that? And it's different for everyone. I know a lot of people are like, oh, people with Down syndrome are so touchy. My clients will say the opposite. Some are, and some are not. And some have a really hard time telling people that they don't want hugs and high fives and you sitting close to them. And
Yeah. And I think sometimes it gets kind of tangled with some infantilizing that happens with supporters, because our students tend to be shorter in stature and maybe a bit less mature. And so it's quite easy to slip up and infantilize a little bit and do more huggies and all that kind of stuff. And it's important to know whether your student actually wants that or not. They might not be able to tell you.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of big feelings came out when it's just like, they don't want someone like patting them on the head even. Something that seems pretty harmless, but it's just teaching a child that what you want and your safety and your comfort level doesn't matter.
Yeah. And also like not only what's being done to them, but what they're required to do. Because I think it's, a lot of the times when you have like a little preschooler with Down syndrome come at you and you're like, oh, like, can I get a hug? Or if I had like young clients, or you really want to do it, but you don't want to set that precedent that early on, right? So you kind of have to get them to understand what others will be doing as well versus know what's being, So that's really good.
And it's definitely a bi-directional thing, right? Because we want to teach our students as well to ask for consent before they approach their peers or whatever too, because you see sometimes there's some funky behaviors going on. Definitely had several students like smell my hair and whatever. It'd be really great if they checked first, if that was an okay thing to do.
Yeah, I know. I was asking them. There was a couple times over teleservice, I'm like, oh, if I was there and I asked you for a kiss, what would you say? They'd be like, okay. And I'm like, no, you do not say okay.
Exactly. And that's the thing, because one of the many strengths of individuals with Down syndrome is that high level of empathy. So that kind of, so they're really, it's like an urge that they have to fight against, sometimes. But that's where it's so great that you're starting this early so that they can understand, the difference between a family member, caregiver versus an acquaintance, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, so, and all the family at that age, you work a lot with the families too, just to get consistency. It doesn't have to be a ton of sessions.
Yeah,
but it's one of those things where like I never even thought of that we would have to do this that young, or how I would say it.
And is that what you've noticed because when parents come to you to discuss these things, are a lot of them aware of some of the things that they want worked on, or are some of them like, oh, I never even thought of like maybe we should talk about this or this?
They definitely come with. So far, it'll be one specific thing in mind. And then I'll tell them how that relates to so many other things too. And they're like, oh, well then, here we go.
Yeah. Okay.
Giving them resources and things like that. And then even just like the look out for this in the next year or so.
Okay.
That you might want to work on too. And what you want your other family members to model in the house too.
Are there phrases that you're teaching our students to be able to say to either ask for consent or to put a boundary in place? Are you teaching them like a no thank you, or I don't want that? I mean, it's going to depend kid to kid.
It depends kid to kid how much they can say, their language capabilities and things
maybe
like that.
Maybe some body language stuff.
Oh, we do.
When some students, they stick the stop hand out.
Exactly.
And that's very clear communication.
It's so great. So we do face, body, words, and the words include tone as well, and what you can say. And sometimes we come up with a script, It could just be no thanks.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll be like, no thanks. And if someone asks again, then you say no. It's just like, they didn't, now they don't deserve politeness, you know? They're serious. And sorry, there's just so much I do teach, about this. Hands out means yes, because it's like open. You're open. Your body's open for a hug. Hands out means no, because you're trying to stop somebody, create distance between them, teaching them how they can do that with people if they don't want to talk. Silence means no, but people don't understand that.
Yeah,
right.
So you have to use your words sometimes. Sometimes you need help. Sometimes you have to leave the situation.
Yeah, and I think it just goes to show how complex it is, right? There's so many like nuances that even if we're not working on those kind of things directly, you're not thinking of like, okay, there's all these little steps you have to do first before you get up to the big steps.
I can talk for an hour just on consent and boundary setting.
Yeah.
And I will one day.
Yeah.
Is there an age, like what would you say is the youngest age that a family could come to you for consent and boundary setting in particular, that you'd say, wow, we can get some things done? Like even preschool age?
Yeah, definitely.
I think so too. Yeah.
I think maybe just for like a consultation, not working with the child, super early, like as soon as other people are touching them, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Just to have the parents know what to look out for and what to model.
Yeah.
And what would be
and just to
easier
keep it on their
to
radar.
start it off kind of on the right foot rather than to have to do some unlearning and undoing later.
Like a lot of these habits that we're going to be forming now, asking for consent or saying yes and no and having the freedom to say yes and no, are the things that are going to last for the rest of their lives. And if you start them young and be like, oh, but it's so cute now that they give everybody a kiss, and then in 6 years it is not cute.
Yeah.
You know, just start thinking about that now.
Playing the long game, the very long game.
Very long game,
It's a lifelong game now.
Yeah. And like, I mean, it would be good for them to, if your child with Down syndrome has siblings, you know, it's good for everyone to really kind of be aware of these kind of things and learn, because everyone can benefit from them. What have you found to be the most challenging part of this and the easiest part of running this program so far?
The most challenging, I guess, would be kind of like making everything from scratch, because everything's kind of the same, but everyone is extremely different. You know how it is for all of us here at DSRF. It has to be extremely personalized. And because it's a touchy subject, it also has to be personalized to the family too.
Right, their culture and everything.
Exactly.
Yep, the context.
So that's been hard because this is new. I've been having to make so many things. So that's the most challenging thing, just the time that it takes. The easiest is that I just love it and I want to do this, and I will do this for every single family listening to this. I will personalize this for your exact situation and with just pure joy and enthusiasm. So that's the easiest part, is that I want to do it. But yeah, it's tricky. And it's tricky. Some things are trickier because we've had to do them online.
Yeah.
You know, some things are trickier if somebody's not very chatty or they can't be chatty. And I have them online and I don't have anything, you know.
Yeah. And then you have to
adjust.
You have to adjust. Yeah, you have to adapt the materials. You have to adapt the lesson based on comprehension level, based on so many other things. So yeah, I can imagine that could be really... So before we jump into the questions that were sent in by some of our teens and adults with Down syndrome, I thought we could address some of the most common questions we might get from our parents.
Sure.
Because I'm sure you get a whole lot of them. So let's do the first one. So Andrea gave us some really good questions that she gets most often. So the first one is, my kid will get naked anywhere. What do I do about this? But I don't know if we're aiming, you know, So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, this seems to be more of a child thing.
Hopefully, yeah.
So far, as they get to teens, it's basically all about public and private. And when it's teens, it's the privacy issues are a little bit different. So I won't get into that right now. But first, I have to make sure that a child knows what privacy even means. Like, it doesn't exactly mean that you're alone, because you should be with your trusted adults too. It could be your doctor and your mom and your dad if you need help, or your teacher if you need help in the washroom or things like that. But it has to be a trusted adult. So you have to know what that means. Someone who is safe and trusted by your whole family. And you do have to be alone. And what does alone mean? You know, if I'm in an empty classroom, is that
or a
privacy?
Park or whatever,
or like my hallway and I don't see anybody, is that privacy? No, because anyone could walk in at any moment, you know, and then they don't want to see you naked. I have to teach that, like, nudity. Some people don't want to see you naked. Some people don't want to see your penis and your vulva and your nipples, and that makes them really uncomfortable. It could also be extremely unsafe, and that's something that a lot of children anyways aren't thinking about.
Right.
They're just like, oh, feels great.
Yeah.
Acknowledge that.
Impulse. Woohoo.
But you have to do that in private. And so a lot of just like, let's look at all the places in your house. Show me the private places in your house. If they're on teleservice, they run around and start pointing to rooms. And I'm like, the door's open. That's not private. And things like that. Hallway's not private just because you're alone. Living room's not private because there's windows and your neighbors can see you, you know, all of that.
Yeah.
So a lot of public and private, and then consistency within the family. So like we kind of touched on, what you're modeling, what you're working on now could become a lifelong thing. It'll be so much harder to unlearn it. And there's a lot of, you know, things with siblings or with parents, like walking around naked, slapping bums, talking about anything is fine at home, but don't do it when there's other people around. and your other children are fine with those rules, and your child with Down syndrome are like, what does that mean? Which people are around? Which places can I do this or not? And that's so much harder that it should just be consistent with the whole family, Okay, none of us are walking around naked in the hallway because we don't walk around naked in any hallways. Yeah. None of us are touching each other's butts, even though it's kind of funny sometimes, because it won't be funny
at the grocery store,
at school.
You're not going to get the same response
in a public washroom,
And I think that's the thing, because we're so quick to say, no, don't do it. But I love that you're talking to the kids about why you shouldn't do it. Like, and reasons that are meaningful to them and they understand, and then that they can relate to them.
Exactly.
So it's, it's
and
nice
where you can do it.
And where you can do it.
There are some things maybe you will never, ever do. I can't think of any specific examples right now. Yeah. But, there probably are things, like unsafe things. But things like getting naked, you can get naked, but, big but, here are the places you can and the reasons you can and when you would. And to give families, like, permission to honor that, because it's just like, oh, my kid just wants to go in the room and hang out naked. Yeah, cool. Yeah. A lot of kids want to do that. Yeah. It's not just your kid. Yeah. They need,
I'm sure lots of adults want to do it too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Go for it. For it. It's a 42-degree Celsius day.
Yes, exactly.
Go into your room and close that door and cool down, or whatever it is. Yeah. That. I mean, they might not even be able to tell you why they want to, depending on the age. Yeah. But give them the place to do it. And
even since you guys are both parents, babies love to be naked. It's just since you're babies, you just love to be naked. So it's I get that. Yeah.
And my daughter's 6. And so things like modesty did not have to be taught explicitly. She just got to the age where she was like, my uncles can't see me naked anymore. My friends can't see me naked anymore. And that might not happen.
Yeah, for students with Down syndrome.
Just because it happened with all of your other children doesn't mean it's going to happen to your child with Down syndrome. So
it's a very good point.
Yeah, make it
got to make the structure for it.
Exactly. Yeah. Lots of visuals.
All right. Second question. How do I deal with crushes? They can open up a huge talk about crushes, fantasies. We see it all the time. This can open up a big conversation. So how would you respond to parents about this?
It's super hard. So a lot of, I'm like, what will I talk about first?
So many things.
This is another thing that could be an hour-long conversation, but it's like, if we're talking practically, I like to tell people that if you're looking for a romantic partner, a sexual partner, a boyfriend, or a girlfriend, here's who you can date. You can date someone who is your friend. That's it. There's no other exceptions. You can't ask out a stranger. Celebrities count as strangers. You've never met them. You don't know them. Yeah.
It's so tricky though, because social media gives people the impression that they do know.
Exactly.
Because, it's... People make their own little videos and it's kind of every day. And sometimes celebrities will ask a question on their videos and our students respond on
TikTok or whatever.
All that stuff.
I got a checklist for that. Are they your friend? You check this checklist. Boop, boop, boop.
Perfect. We'll put that on the episode page because I've used that checklist with some of the students before and it's been a little bit saddening because they realize that, I'm not actually friends with insert celebrity here. Yeah. But it's so important to realize.
So that's the thing. I like to make some pretty clear boundaries. You can't date your family, strangers, paid helpers, even acquaintances, but you can date your friends, and people can move between circles too. So maybe one day I will meet.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of my favorite celebrity. But I'm like, they're all married. You also can't date people in relationships.
Which includes your siblings.
Yeah.
Boyfriends and girlfriends. That's a really common one.
Things like that. So you got to make that pretty clear. But then you also have to acknowledge that
they're having feelings.
I really like the celebrity. I don't love them. It's super hard because that's obsessing with celebrities is so normalized. Oh, I love Jason Momoa. And I've said that and I'm like, no, I don't love him because I don't know him. I love his movies. I think he looks really attractive.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't love him. He's, you know, and
As a
even
person,
watching
yeah.
your language, but acknowledging like, yes, I'm a huge fan. I really want to watch all these things with them. I get it. That's your favorite YouTuber. Watching them makes you feel really,
Yeah,
really
but he's
happy.
not your boyfriend. Yeah.
Not your boyfriend. Imagine how much happier you'll feel with friends who
Yeah.
get you and things like that too.
Yeah.
And not ever dismissing that it's like, yes, you
That it's
really,
wrong.
really
Yeah.
care about your teacher.
Mhm.
They are so much fun. But this is a different kind of relationship than a dating relationship. I know you're looking for somebody who hangs out with you and makes you feel happy and makes you feel safe in a boyfriend or a girlfriend, but it can't be your teacher.
Yeah.
They're doing that because it's their job. They're paid to do that. You don't know them like you do a friend because they're paid to be nice, you know, things like that. Like always giving them like the validate your feelings.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I've done that too. And now I can see that was a bad idea to have a crush on my professor, celebrity person online that I've never met, you know, things like that. But one of the things that's really good is like, I try to be like, well, if you go on a date with somebody, you have to have a lot of things in common. Let's list all the things you have in common with girl at school you've probably never met, but she's super hot and you see her. What do you know about her? She goes to my school. Cool. She likes sushi. Do you know that? Or does everybody like sushi? Oh, everybody likes sushi.
Yeah.
You know, she likes soccer. Do you know that? Or were you forced to play soccer at school together? You know, things like that. Like going through that.
Really
like,
digging. And I think like Marla and you were referring to a checklist that you use, which is fantastic. And the interesting thing that I talk to Andrew about this all the time because I want to learn more, but there's a very black and white thing that you do with some of our students where like, no, it either fits in this category, right? Yeah. And I think sometimes that's the gray areas when it gets confusing, right? When you're like, and like Marla was mentioning, when you're on social media and they're interacting with you in some degree, but you really need that black and white thinking sometimes to kind of help them understand the boundaries. And have you found that it's quite helpful for a lot of our students?
Super helpful. And I think it's also one of the things that's been helpful with families to talk about, to start this young. Yeah. To label people as they are. Oh, there's your favorite TikToker who we've never met. I bet you would love a friend like that. You know?
Yeah. And I think the validating piece is like trying to pull out what it is about celebrity, teacher, whoever, that it makes them very attractive or very fun to be around. And then turning it and saying, wouldn't it be nice to have a friend who does
all these sweet dance moves, who likes the same music as you. You know, same with the family member things. A lot of people will be like, oh, I want to marry my sister or my dad or my cousin. And then we just go through and like, what do you like about them? Yeah. I mean, it's pretty common that people end up dating or marrying somebody pretty similar to some of their family members. Yeah. But it's like, what do you like about them? Oh, that they're pretty? You like that they have short, long, curly, whatever hair. Okay, that's cool. Oh, you like that they're super nice to you and they're a really good cook. Those are awesome qualities. Yeah. You know, your mom or dad or whoever is taken, they're in your family. You can't date them. But we can try to find these really cool qualities in people that can be your friends. Right. You know, that live close to you.
Very cool. Okay, our last question from parents. How much do I help or not help give independence when they start dating?
I feel like this is going to be a very personalized situation. In very general advice, I would say as much as you help with friendships, that's how much you would help with dating. And some people help a lot with their friendships. You know, they have to set up everything and get phone numbers and do the emails with the other parent and things like that and come up with ideas. And if that's how your family's been doing friendships and sports and things like that, you might have to do that with dating as well. And if you go to real-talk.org, I'll give you, we'll put that in the show notes. Oh, I'm saying that now.
But you're right.
I'll
we
put
will.
it in the
That's
show
great.
notes.
Yeah.
They have this really, really wonderful video. They're a Burnaby organization that does sexual health education with folks with intellectual and developmental disabilities. They have this video called How Should Family and Staff Support Your Love Life? And it's people saying what they wish their family and their respite workers and their teachers and therapists did for them. And it's one of those things where for some people you'd be surprised by how much they want you to help, and others it's like you'd be surprised at how much they don't want you to help. And it's just, you honestly have to have that conversation with your child.
Yeah.
Not your, your offspring, not your little teeny tiny child. Your
Right.
18-year-old, your 25-year-old, your 30-year-old child. They'll want something different. So you probably will be helping.
Yeah.
They probably want some sort of independence.
Yeah.
But it's going to be about the same as what they have with their friends too.
Cool.
Are you leaving them with their friends on the bus going around places alone? If you are, that's probably what you'll do when they go on dates too. If you're monitoring them when they're with their friends because they'll spend all their money otherwise, I don't know, so many reasons, or they're not safe or anything like that, you'll probably be chaperoning all of their dates too.
Yeah.
It'll be different for every single family.
Great.
That's a really good rule of thumb. I think it gives
agree.
families an idea of what to expect. And it's probably not going to be very different because, whoever you're dating comes from that friend circle anyway. So
better.
It's the same.
Following my rules, they better.
It's true.
Who's out there dating strangers? Get out of town.
Okay.
Coming up next, we have some questions that have been sent in by some young adults that we have the pleasure of knowing. And here's our first question.
What does period makes my hormones go crazy?
Oh, such a good question. So when you have your period, your hormones, estrogen and progesterone, get released from your brain, go all throughout your body, and they tell your body to do a lot of things. They tell your ovaries to release their egg. It does all of these biological things. But I think what this question is asking is, why are my hormones making me feel crazy? Why are my emotions off the charts sometimes? And estrogen and progesterone hormones. They like to do something that I like to call the mads, the sads, and the glads. You might get real angry, very irritable all of a sudden. You might feel very sad. You might be crying a lot more a little bit before and during your period. And you might still be extra glad, really giddy, excited, hard to focus. And those are called mood swings. And you know what? That's just what hormones do. And it's different for every person. There's not a real reason, because some people don't even get mood swings during their period. Some people get them so much that it really affects, going to school and going to work and things like that. And a lot of people during their period too will get extra tired, and it takes a lot of self-regulation to handle all of these emotions. And if you're tired from other things that your period was causing you to, then you can't even help all of your emotions. If it's really, really bad to the point where you're not going to school or work during your period, you might actually need to see your doctor about this, because there are ways where they can regulate your hormones, make it so, it's a little more even every day. So it's a bit more predictable for you. And that's something that I can't help you with. That's something that a doctor, your family doctor, can help you with if it's that bad. Otherwise, you're actually not going crazy. That is what your hormones do. And we just sympathize. And
So it's not really something that you need to worry
you don't have to worry about it.
Unless it's stopping you from living your life.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. All of us are feeling all of those emotions switch super, super, super fast sometimes.
And there are things that you could do while you're feeling a little emotional to maybe help you as well.
Oh, there sure are, but that'll be different with everybody.
Yeah.
It's I like to take it a little easier.
Yeah.
Be a little forgiving
Give
of
yourself
myself.
a bit of a break. Yeah.
Tell people that no, I'm not going to do that. And I don't have to tell them why.
Right.
I don't have to be like,
or,
I've got my period, so I'm super mad at you, so I'm not coming out tonight. I'll just be like, I'm feeling a bit tired.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it easy.
Yeah.
I'm still going to do all the things I need to do, but I might need to relax a little bit more, listen to some happier music, or do some things. Got to try extra hard not to yell at my family or whoever's annoying me.
Great.
And it'll get easier in time. This will be the worst in the first few years after your first period. And then eventually it'll get a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's hard to say because every body is different. But especially for young teens, you're going to feel this really strong.
Mm-hmm.
And it might suck for a little while.
Do you recommend that women get sort of an app to keep track of their period and their cycle so that they can say, oh, I might feel emotional during these 5 days. This happens to me every month or whatever. So I'm not going to overschedule myself and kind of be able to see that it's coming, prepare ahead a little bit.
I feel like for some people who have periods that could help them. But if this is like, it depends on like your cognitive ability that you're going to be able to identify all of these things and put that into an app. And scheduling, you know, how many people are aware of their schedule 3 weeks in advance,
right?
Or even something as simple as just marking it on a calendar. Like you know, in about a month's time from now, it might not feel so great.
I know some families do it. I don't know if I would tell the person having the period to do it because it depends how much they're in charge of their schedule anyway.
Totally. Yeah, true.
But definitely it's worked out with some families where they're like, oh, it's coming up. We need some backup plans.
Right. Or just some more downtime.
Or some extra like screen time to relax or, you know, things like that.
Because sometimes you lose track. I mean, we all lose track of it. You're like, oh, hold on. This is why I'm feeling this way today. And
just even for myself personally, sometimes the apps like aren't that great.
Okay.
And if you're not, a lot of people are irregular too. And then even like, you're like, why am I feeling this way? And you don't even know because the app, you know, the app told you it was predicting the right thing and it was wrong.
Sure.
Which is super common too.
Okay. So the next question.
When I get a girlfriend?
How to get a boyfriend?
I think this was asked like 8 times.
I bet. It's definitely been asked to me many times too.
Like just in our little call out, 8 times. Completely independently of each other. Where can I get a boyfriend and a girlfriend from all ages? This is, I would probably say, like one of the top concerns of everyone. And the short answer is it's kind of tricky and it's kind of easy.
Got it.
So here are some ideas. It's kind of like wherever you would make friends. So you could look at your existing friends and be like, hey, can I date one of them? Honestly, you totally could, right? It's just somebody that I feel a little bit differently about. You can look at your friends of friends because you know you probably have things in common, people you can trust, and ask for an introduction. During COVID, this was really hard because you weren't supposed to be hanging out with your friends of friends, but you know, soon you will be. School is a good place to meet lots of people, to make new friends. And then of those friends, you know, you might find someone that you want to date. Clubs, programs, sports are really great places to meet a potential boyfriend or girlfriend. Volunteering sometimes might be really good. Some kind of really bad places would be work because you're supposed to be working.
I was just going to ask on the flip side, where do we not want to meet people we're dating?
Don't like, and lots of different workplaces have like really specific rules. So you don't want to get fired for trying to ask out customers or coworkers and not doing your job. It can be really, really distracting. Don't look for people at work. You might end up being friends with people from work, but that's different. Don't go to work to date. The internet is a pretty bad place. It can be really unsafe. It can be really tricky, really difficult to navigate. There's a lot more extra skills involved in being good at internet dating. So most people don't have time to learn that.
Yeah.
I've done it. It's not that great, everybody. Public places are also a bad thing. Like you don't go asking out somebody at the mall, at the pool, at the beach, the bus stop. Very unsafe. You have no idea who these people are other than maybe their level of attractiveness. That's all you know about them.
I think places like bus stops are tricky because you might see the same people at the bus stop every day, but that's still not... That doesn't make those people your friend.
Exactly.
And that's not a good dating choice.
This is where Andrea's checklist would come in.
Yes super handy.
No.
Another thing that kind of is crummy is, you know, if you have Down syndrome, a lot of people who don't know you won't be their genuine self. They might be fake nice to you. You know, they might be extra nice to you because they don't know you. And you don't know at all if you have anything in common, or if they're just being nice to you, you know? So don't trust strangers. You have no idea. Trust your friends. Go date them. So yeah. All those other places were way better places to meet friends that would eventually become your boyfriend or your girlfriend. I once had somebody ask me, should I go to an all-girls school to meet my girlfriend? I'm like, you can't. You're a boy. Sounds good.
Good idea. I was just going to say it's very good problem solving there, but not really. Yeah.
But tricky to get into a girls' school just to meet girls to date when you're a boy.
I feel like there's like a movie idea right there.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Like a comedy.
In the same vein, though, it might be a reason to join some clubs.
Exactly.
And some extracurriculars, and maybe do some volunteering or find something you like to do, because you might be able to meet some new friends who could turn into a boyfriend or girlfriend.
Like if you have no one in your current friend group that you would date,
time to join some more things.
The friend group,
people.
Yeah.
That's tricky. It's hard. It's not easy.
Okay.
But you gotta.
Okay, our next question.
What do you want to start dating someone?
This is so fun. Dating should be really, really, really fun. So when you're dating somebody, the purpose of that is to get to know them in a different way. It's probably going to be your friend, but now you're telling each other that, like, maybe I want you to be my boyfriend. Maybe I want you to be my girlfriend. So you'll do a lot of the same things. You're going to talk a lot. You're going to go out and do fun things together, things that you both like. But now you're trying to see if you're going to be a good match. Like, do we want to hold hands or kiss or touch or things like that? So you're getting to know somebody even more than you would have before when you were just friends. And hopefully after dating, you do become, it works out and you do ask them to be your boyfriend or your girlfriend and see what happens with that.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
That I've been asked by many students that's kind of on the same vein, which is, does it count as dating if you're in a big group? So let's say it's soccer practice and you're there and the person you like is there. Does that count as a date?
Sadly, it doesn't. It's super awesome and you should do it because you're getting to know them better. They're getting to know you better. You're becoming friends. But that's not the date. Just because you like them, just because you're at the same place. It should be one-on-one.
One-on-one.
Or someone should tell you it's a double date.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Like you gotta call
how
it
you
a
define
date.
it. Yeah.
If the other person doesn't know it's a date, you're not on a date.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, very important clarification.
Fine print.
It's the fine print of dating. And just all that consent stuff, right? Like it's one of those things that you both have to agree that it's a date and call it a date. And sometimes with dating, you are just getting to know each other one-on-one. You don't have to call it dating at the very, very beginning.
Yeah.
But you should pretty soon, just to make sure feelings aren't hurt and they just want to be your friend and you wanted them to be your boyfriend or girlfriend. But yes, great
I think
question.
it's a really important point. If somebody else doesn't know that they're your boyfriend or girlfriend, then they are not your boyfriend or girlfriend.
At all.
And that's a really hard one.
That's right. I had that in my notes that I was going to mention that when we talked about crushes. That's one of the big things you don't do with your crush. You don't call them your boyfriend or your girlfriend. You don't force any kinds of touch on them because there's so many steps before that title of boyfriend and girlfriend, before any kind of touch happens. And that's what dating's for.
Okay.
And what is a good first date?
Oh my gosh, first dates are really fun. They're so exciting because you know that the other person kind of likes you back, and that's really exciting. So hopefully you're friends and you both know a lot about each other and you have lots of things in common, which means you both like the same things. So you should do whatever you both like. A lot of people like eating. Seems to be pretty popular. Can you find a restaurant that you both like or go on a picnic or something like that? A lot of people like sports. Do you want to watch sports together or play sports together? That could be a really fun first date. A lot of people like movies. That could be a good first date. There are so many things that could be first dates, but it has to be something you both like and, that you can get to safely and you have the money for. Don't do something too expensive. Nobody likes wasting money. So yeah, look at all of your common interests. It's somebody you know. There should be lots and lots of ideas. Bowling's kind of fun. What else is kind of fun? There's just so many ideas, but it's hard to tell because you don't know who the two people are going on this first date. Sky is the limit. And if you needed help, you can ask.
Yeah.
Ask your friends, ask your family, ask people who hang out and do things around your neighborhoods, depending on where you are. The sky is the limit on a first date. So fun.
Okay. All right. Let's go to our next question.
What is sex?
Oh, that's biggie.
I was just going to say, jumping from dating now straight to sex. Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
Those other questions had real short answers. This one could too. Okay, so what is sex? There are lots of different kinds of sex, and people get stuck on one kind of sex. Basically, what sex is, it's between consenting people, so people that both say yes, people that both feel safe and trust each other and both want to do this, and it involves touching. It involves touch that's supposed to feel good. It usually involves your genitals, so like your vulva, penis, anus, depending on the person. And it can involve any other parts of your body touching in ways that make you both feel good. A lot of people, when they think about sex, they think about intercourse, which is like penis in the vagina. But there's a whole bunch of different ways. So my short answer will be it's touch that feels good. It is also very private. So you are not doing this with anybody. You are doing this in somebody you are in a relationship with that you've known for a long time. And it should be something that you want to do. And that's like really fun and stuff. It's very complicated though. That's the extremely short answer.
So
with many other things involved with it.
So a few things that need to happen before sex. Usually you need to know the person really well, and ideally they would be your friend, and then you would be dating them, and then you have sex. So this is not a thing for strangers, acquaintances, people that you don't know and trust, and or people that don't consent, right?
Exactly.
So
it's private.
Those are essential pieces.
Private. You both want to do it. It should feel good. You should not be scared or in pain or anything like that. And there's not just one kind of sex, because a lot of people are like, oh, did that not count? It probably counted, you know? And yeah, a lot of people don't want all the different kinds of sex and touching too. So it really depends on the person what your sex is going to look like, or the couple.
Okay, next question. And this is kind of on the same vein.
Now, how do you know I'm ready to have sex?
Now, I lied. I said the last question was the biggie. This is the biggie. This is the really, really important question that I feel like I'm going to give the answer and then want to add to it and then add and add and add. So this might be a little rambling. This is such a great question, and I love that people are asking themselves this and asking me to help you with this. So there's some practical aspects to when do you know if you're ready to have sex. I guess I'll get those out of the way. Do you have a private place, where it's only you and your trusted person, and where others cannot see you or hear you? This can be hard if you're living at home. This might be awkward because you might have to talk to your parents to establish this private place. But if you're not willing to talk about this with whoever you live with, then maybe you're not ready to have sex. You have to make sure you have a private place to have sex. Usually a bedroom works, but it might not for, so that could be tricky. So get that first, do I have a place to have sex? If no, then you're not ready to have sex. You just can't. Do I know what sex is a big one too. Mm-hmm. And because that's different for different types of partnerships, you know, make sure you're both on the same page with what you actually want to be doing with your bodies. Because some people just want, you know, things, and somebody else might want something else. Mm-hmm. So you got to talk about that. Do you know how to protect yourself from sexually transmitted infections? And if you don't know what those are, then you're not ready to have sex. There are ways that your bodies can touch that can get you very sick. And if you don't know how to protect yourself, then you have to learn that first. For certain kinds of sex, you can get pregnant. Mm-hmm. Do I know what that means and what that would do to my body? And what would I do if I got pregnant or if I got somebody pregnant? So first, do I know how to not get pregnant if I don't want to be pregnant? Or if I don't want to get somebody pregnant, do I know how to not do that? You have to learn that first. And if I was pregnant, do I know what I would do? Mm-hmm. Would I keep it? Would I get married? Would I have an abortion? If all of these words are things that you've never thought of or learned about, you have to learn that first. Mm-hmm. It would be a very, very big deal. Also, do I have any money? There's some things with sex that cost money. If you're protecting yourselves from getting pregnant or from getting an STI, you need a sex budget to make sure you're buying those things. And if you're like, Andrea, what do I need to buy? Well, you got some studying to do. Mm-hmm. So those are all the practical things. Let's do some health things next. Like, do I know my body really well? Do I know my genitals? Do I know which parts of my body feel good? Mm-hmm. You know? Do I know my partner's body? Do they have a different kind of body with different parts than me? Do I know what's going to feel good for them? Because there's a lot of the parts that feel good also can get hurt really easily. Have I ever thought about that? You know, that's something that you should know about bodies. Do I know when I feel like I want to have sex? There's like certain things your body will do to tell you that. Do I know when I don't want to have sex? Because again, if your body is telling you you don't want to, the sex will hurt. Mm-hmm. And you can get, you know, really sad by that. If you're hearing any of this and you're like, ew, that's what sex is? That sounds gross. You're not ready, and that's totally fine. And that's really, really normal. Or there's other things that you want to do, and those are great too. So you have to know, like, does my body tell me that I want to do this? Mm-hmm. And lots of people's bodies don't want to have sex or do anything sexual. That's super, super normal. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. And you also got to be really in touch with your feelings. How am I feeling? Am I feeling scared? Don't have sex when you're scared, because that will make your body hurt. Do I feel worried and anxious? Don't do it then too. Is it making me feel sad? A lot of people will feel all of these things when thinking about sex. And that just means, no, I'm not ready right now. Am I feeling excited? Am I feeling happy? Am I feeling, you know, loving feelings at the thought of doing this? Those are pretty good feelings. That might mean you're ready. Emotionally, do we both want to do this? Or is somebody making the other person want to do this? That's a really tricky one. And it's a really common one, that somebody wants to have sex or do something sexual before the other person. And if they're making you be like, oh, come on, this is what girlfriends do, this is what boyfriends do. It doesn't have to be, so that's not a good enough reason to say that you're ready. Just because you're in a relationship, no, I wouldn't. Just because someone's like, but I want to, and you're supposed to make me happy. Nah, that's not the job. That's not your job either. That's not the reason for sex. Can I stand up for myself? Do I know how to say no? Like we said, sex has so many different ways to do it. If there's a way that I don't want to do it, can I say no to the person that I'm with? And if I don't like saying no to them yet, then I'm not ready for sex. You got to set your own limits. You got to be able to say no. You got to know how to change your mind. Because just because you said yes doesn't mean you actually have to. You're allowed to change your mind. all of these things. I think you have to know that you can do. No bribes or threats or pressure from your partner. No, like, if you have sex with me, I'm going to buy you this, which happens.
Mm-hmm.
It'll happen. If someone's doing that to you, they're not ready either. They're going about this all the wrong way. So make sure you're doing this for you. And make sure you can handle disappointment too. If it doesn't go how you like it, or if the other person's feelings change or your feelings change, I think a lot of people don't realize that sex comes with a lot of different feelings too.
Mm-hmm.
And that, a lot of people have sex with somebody to get them to love you, but they should love you first for other reasons, not just because of that. It's different. So I hope you're with somebody. No, not I hope. You better be with somebody that you trust, that you feel safe, that you can talk about all of these things with. Mm-hmm. There is so much going on ahead of time. Mm-hmm. That's why when you're like, you just can't have sex with a stranger, you better have talked about all of these things, both of you.
Yeah.
Before any of this happens. And then on top of that, a lot of people's beliefs will be different. Their religion, their culture, their family. You can't ignore any of that. That will determine for a lot of couples when they can have sex too. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't even talked about that with your partner, well, you better.
Then you're not ready.
A lot of conversations.
Then you're not ready. So there's so many things to know if you're ready to have sex at all. And so many things to know if you're ready to have sex with this person.
If somebody needs help getting through, because you're right, it's a very complicated thing to think about and plan for. If somebody needs some help figuring out whether they're ready or not, who would be a good person for them to talk to?
Your trusted adults. See, those trusted adults that you talk about when you're a kid and you determine will come in handy for the rest of your life. And that it could be your parents.
Yeah.
It could be a teacher. It could be your doctor. You should also trust the adult that's in the relationship with you as well. But you might want to talk about it with more than one person just to make sure, especially if you've never done it before.
What would your advice be to those trusted adults to help them have these conversations? Because it's like, for any parent, I think it's not for any parent, I shouldn't say. For some, it's super easy to have it and super open, but for some, it's not. So like, what would you...
And for your other kids, maybe you weren't the person that they came to talk to. Maybe they went and talked to their friend. But if all of your friends are other people with Down syndrome and other disabilities, they might not be the best person to talk to about all of this.
Yeah.
Oh, for the parents. I'm just thinking even as myself as a parent. Oh, man. That's not my number one choice of conversation.
No. Yeah.
But you gotta, you can ask me for help.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that. I was like, I should probably talk to you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Come talk to me.
Yeah.
Come watch videos. I'll give you a few links. Like Real Talk and Amaze.org. And there's a lot of videos that you can watch with your child to talk about sex. Make sure they know about it. That will help them get ready. There are a lot of books. Talk Sex Today by Salima Noon has like a lot of scripts that you can even say to talk about it. A lot of these questions, I came up with them, but a lot of them come from this book that I'm forgetting the title, but I will give it to you.
Episode page.
That actually has an even longer than this checklist, and it's meant for everybody, but you can take out what applies to your child and their partnership to go through and make sure that they have all of these things that they're ready for. It's a big deal. There's a lot of things that can go super right and super wrong with it, right? And it's uncomfortable for probably most everyone.
Yeah.
Except for me. No. and it's not just one conversation too. It'll be a lot of different ones.
Yeah.
But I think when you get into this level of complexity where are we ready to have sex or not, that kind of question, you see why working backwards, you want to start it very, 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 very young so that you're not teaching who's a trusted adult at this point.
Yes,
Very true.
yes, agreed. Or even things like sexualities, because, when we talk about those different kinds of sex, and some people would rather just talk about sex rather than even touch somebody. Some people can identify as asexual and not know it because they've never heard that word before. And that might be something that you need to navigate with your partnership, if somebody wants to and somebody doesn't want to, and that's tricky too. And if nobody's ever told you that that's super awesome,
that's an okay
and normal,
way to be. Yeah, exactly.
Or if you only want to kiss, or I only want to hug, or I don't like other people's naked bodies, so I never want to see, that those are all things that are normal too.
Yeah.
And that you can still, I don't know, if you wanted to have like phone sex and talk about sex but never actually do it, that could be fine too. But if you don't know that's an option,
right,
that'll be really tricky in your relationship.
So you mentioned that there's some videos that parents can watch with their child, and a plug for videos. Videos are super great because they can be re-watched as many times as needed. And when this is sort of a big issue for our adolescents and young adults, the subject comes up a lot. And it might be very handy to have something that the person can refer to sort of independently and get more information each time they watch it.
Yes.
Yeah, there's nothing like having a really intense, uncomfortable conversation many, many, many times.
to
make parents feel out of their depth.
Yeah, I would say the books that I will recommend will be for parents, just to make sure that you're in the right mindset for this too. I know a lot of us want our kids to be super safe and protected and not disappointed, and that bringing this in will just make it so complicated, but to also value that they're adults and they may have these desires and they may not, either way, the books would be to get you in the right, like, okay, I might have to face this. These are things I could say. And I think for videos, I think just real talk is the best because it's people with intellectual disabilities answering these questions. Most of them are pretty short too. I've watched a bunch of them with my students. They love it. Then we rewatch it. We take notes. It brings up new questions. There's so many times you don't know you had a question until somebody else mentions something. You're like, wait a second, but what about this? And you also want to give them the video so they're not just searching for it on YouTube, which we have had happen.
Oh, yes.
What is sex? What is naked lady sex? Has come up on our iPads before, and then we don't know where it came from.
Or who was curious about that and who needed that information. And that's not the ideal way to go searching for that.
Yeah, lots of adults walk through our doors and use our browsers and things. And if you ever see that at home,
conversation's overdue.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you have multiple children and you're not sure who this is from, but
So there's one more question that comes up a lot that kind of speaks to the cultural side of what we've been talking about. So I think it's an important one too. So let's hear from that person.
Can you only have sex while you're married?
Yeah, maybe. It depends. And this is something that you're going to have to talk about with your family. A lot of cultures, a lot of religions, you cannot. So you shouldn't. That's a really important thing in a lot of people's lives. And you need to get married first. So you make your friend, you date, you become boyfriends and girlfriends. And over many, many years, probably, you decide to get married. And then you're going to have sex. And that's a pretty awesome way to do it too, because we talked about how to even know you're ready to have sex. There's a lot involved. And that is going to work for a lot of people. A lot of people come from cultures and families where you don't have to be married first to have sex. That's fine too, if that is your belief, your religion, and your culture. And if you don't know, better ask somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You better check
Yeah.
in with your family,
Yeah.
especially if you're living with your family. If you're doing something that your parents are like, whoa, like this is against our religion, this is against our faith, whatever our culture, where we come from, this is not something that we do in our families, and you live with them, that's extremely disrespectful.
Yeah.
You know? And it would be different for every family, but I don't know what would happen in that case. But you know,
Gotta check.
you
Gotta check
need
first.
to check.
Need to ask.
And if you can't have these conversations with your family,
You're
then
not
you
ready.
are not ready.
Yeah.
Don't go sneaking around.
Yeah.
Well, I think I appreciate all these questions that got sent in because these are really good and really common questions. So thank you to those teens and adults who sent those our way.
Right? And I know a lot of people aren't going to be ready. They'll listen to this person and be like, I don't want my son or daughter to listen to that question yet. That's okay.
Yeah.
One day
This
you might be ready.
podcast will be here forever.
It's always here.
Always here for
Not
you.
all of it will apply to every person. Your child may never have any of these questions.
Yeah.
And they might have,
and that's okay too.
That's okay too. I was just gonna say that's
they
totally
might have
fine.
even more specific ones. All right.
And
You
we
know?
might just need to have you back again for another set of questions.
I'm only an email away from everybody.
So we'll put the information and the resources that Andrea was talking about on our episode page for any parents who are in need of that information, or any individuals, teens, adults as well. And I think Andrea encourages people to get in touch if they need some more individualized info.
Yeah, please do. That's been picking up lately too. Emails from, I'm like, ooh. How do they know who I am? Like, I don't even know. They don't introduce themselves. I get an email. I'm like, here we go. And I love it. So yeah, let's get some more of those.
All right.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Andrea.
Oh, thanks for having me.
This is really, really informative. I'm for sure know this is going to help a lot of families out. So we appreciate it.
I love it. And I know it makes people uncomfortable. And I'll help you
that's
through
okay.
that. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Conversations can be uncomfortable. But all right. Well, thank you.